Hi, it's Hans Lewis Glimt. It's February 26, 2009. And today I want to talk about the new world economic order. We now see the politicians worldwide banding up and setting up a new kind of world economic order. They're even being explicit about that. They're saying that they need some kind of new regulatory regime to sort of control and curb the market forces that they have lost control of. And it's important, first of all, to realize that this crash is not due to the free market. It is because of failed regulation all the way through. Failed regulation by setting up the Federal Reserve, printing paper money, and doing pretty much the same all over the world. The world is flooded with paper money that they're just printing out of thin air, and that is the true cause of this huge economic collapse, the depression that we're seeing now. And the politicians, they now realize that they've lost control of this. It's out of their hands. And in their usual fashion, the response they give is not to set people free and to set the economy free and set individuals free to deal with this ourselves, because the spontaneous order would fix this if just people were allowed to come up with the best solutions ourselves. No, they want to solve this by taking more control to themselves, because politicians and the government and the whole state apparatus, the power establishment, their number one goal is to keep control themselves. That is, that's what it's all about, to be re-elected, to keep the order. So it's not about, they don't care about individuals or individual liberty, or they don't really care about the economy either. They just do this because it's what they perceive the public wants them to do in order to re-elect them. So it's a scam, it's a swindle all through and through. It's a scam. And the response now is to do this new world economic order. That is their gut reaction to any kind of problem. We need to grab more power and to fix this. And the way that they want to fix it now is to make... You see, the problem now, they think, is that because the world has become so globalized, and especially the financial markets are so global, they are not able to control it, because the politicians have control in their own country, within their own jurisdiction. But money flows all over the world, and they don't really control the global flows of money and what's happening outside their borders. So that is the last frontier of freedom, is really between the countries and going away from that, the control that they have. So their response to that is to make global institutions to tighten their grip on the economy and to gain back the control that they felt that they have lost. And that is the true problem now, because this new global economic order that they're setting up is a coordinated effort between all the big industrialized countries in the world. And they're going to set up new institutions, maybe new kinds of money, new kinds of regulations, new kinds of debt instruments, new kinds of ways to regulate trade and all that. And that's what they aim to do. And giving people freedom is not even on the agenda. It's not even being questioned. The only thing that's being questioned is, how can we regulate this? How can we grab more power? How can we set up institutions that the market forces and people and individuals cannot get around? That's their main objective. And we clearly see now that there is a movement in the US that's fighting the Fed, that's against this fiat money regime and everything that the Fed has done. A lot of this has sprung out around the Mises Institute in Auburn, Alabama. And one of the most important people that's been telling the world about this has been Ron Paul in the Ron Paul campaign. And many of you will know that I was very active in the Ron Paul campaign. And now there are other people as well, Peter Schiff and others, telling the world about this fiat money and the problems with fiat money, and the fiat money being the reason for the boom and now the bust, and the fact that we need to return to gold money and sound money to set up a new economic system, revert to the individuals, where the individuals are free, basically following the U.S. Constitution. But the problem is that this is a movement that's being set up in the US and gaining momentum, getting stronger and stronger. But I'm based out of Oslo, Norway. We need to set up these kinds of movements worldwide. So this is not just a US phenomenon and a US problem, but it's a global problem. We have paper money in every single country in the world. There's no country in the world right now that has a gold standard. And the problem is that this has been a global power grab by politicians in the last 100 years since we abandoned the gold standard. And politicians have been grabbing more and more power. But we've come to the end of the line of what's possible for the politicians to do. So, I was very active in the Ron Paul campaign, and now I see that my role going forward and what we need to do now is to set up resistance movements against paper money and against central banks and against the fiat money power grab by the politicians in every single country in the world. We need to mobilize people worldwide. And I'm going to work especially in Norway and Sweden, which is really my home turf. And I'm going to work with people I know in the EU, but I don't know anyone in Brazil or in Argentina or Mexico or Hong Kong or whatever. So people all over the world need to be called, and I'm calling you right now to set up resistance movements. Because what's going to happen now in 2009 and 2010 is that the politicians and the central banks and the global institutions that are trying to regulate this are going to announce new kinds of policies, new kinds of ideas, new kinds of deals and structures and regulatory regimes and all kinds of crap to curb people's freedom to deal with each other. They want to grab this themselves. The politicians want to hold on to this control themselves. And we need to resist this on every single level. Now, what I see in Iceland is fantastic. I'm proud of the Icelandic people. Icelanders are great. They're fighting their central bank. They're fighting their government. They're saying, you're to blame for this. And that's right. That's exactly true. The Icelandic people were not to blame for the crash in Iceland. It was the central bank. It was the government. They allowed the central bank to be set up. So the Icelanders have had the worst crash in the Western world, and they are actually closest to the solution. And the solution is to abandon the central bank and set up sound money, true money, where people can deal with each other freely. So the fact that Iceland crashed first might actually be a blessing for Iceland, if they're able to come out of this ahead. I'm afraid that they will fall into the hands of the politicians that want to grab power, and they'll fall into the hands of the EU, and the EU will come with some kind of solution and bail them out and all that. But that is not the actual solution. If the Icelanders are smart, they will drop that. They will go away from politics and set up a gold-based currency. Maybe they can even be the first one and have a tremendous boom if they're the first sound currency in the world. So there's going to be tremendous change all over the world. Governments are going to be redefined. Governments are going to fall. Paper money is going to be evaporated in value. We see the Icelandic krona has dropped by 2/3 in value, and that's going to happen to a lot of other currencies. It's going to be extremely volatile in the next few years, and we have to raise awareness, and we have to raise awareness on a sound footing, and the place to go is to the Mises Institute in Auburn, Alabama, to really read up on the theory about this and Austrian economics and really get the sound footing for this. And then you listening to this video, you might feel that, how can I be the one to set up a resistance movement in Bulgaria or Morocco or Mexico or wherever? But you have to do it, because who else will do it? You have to set up. Try to look up other people in your country, set up a meetup group, set up a forum, start talking to each other on the phone, and start building a list of people. So when the politicians announce all this crap and BS that they're going to come up with, there will be global resistance. We will fight them. We will fight them in the streets. We will fight them. We will stand outside the central banks with banners and scream and shout and get the media to go there. And we say, demand sound money. We're going to demand sound money. So set it up. This is a global fight. We need to fight globally. I'm Hans Louis Klimt. I have my daily comments on farman.no. That's where I write daily, and I do these videos as well. So I'm gonna try to push this forward in the next 2 years. Thanks.